The room seemed to stop breathing as soon as the question was asked. Lights buzzed, cameras hummed, and Kirk, who was typically composed and well-prepared, froze as if someone had just turned off his whole system. One seemingly benign vacation-related prompt. Fans claim to have witnessed a complete transformation with just one name, Jasmine. His hands completely stopped moving, his jaw tensed, and his eyes fluttered. The internet realized something was seriously wrong at that instant. The hush lingered just a beat too long, and viewers leaned closer to their displays. Was it a shock? Was it guilt? Or was he afraid of what would come out if he spoke? Social media took off right away. Videos were zoomed in, slowed down, then replayed frame by frame. Fans believe Kirk's body language conveyed a message he didn't want others to hear, and they are astounded at how quickly a straightforward query became a major mystery. Since this was no ordinary vacation. This was Jasmine's holiday. The trip that had been discussed in whispers for some months. The one surrounded by evasive responses, uneasy giggles, and odd chronology shifts. Emotions flowed strong every time Jasmine's name was mentioned. Friends sidestepped. The topic was shifted by family. Fans thought they had finally discovered the truth when Kirk froze on tape, attempting to flee. The stress was intolerable. Off camera, someone cleared their throat. Kirk appeared to be buying time as he blinked once and twice. Viewers were literally yelling at their TVs, challenging him to lie and pleading with him to respond. Fans insist it wasn't relief when he eventually moved in his seat. It was a panic. The kind that arises when inside secrets begin to pound. Theories flooded the comment sections. Was Jasmine meant to be mentioned at all? Was there a confrontation prior to the trip, a betrayal during it, or something so explosive that Kirk was still unable to discuss it months later? Every covert move is being analyzed by fans. The way he avoided making eye contact. The way his shoulder tensed. The way his voice broke before he said a single word. What actually took place during the trip? Why can he still be utterly shut down by a single question? And who else has been silently bearing the burden of whatever went wrong? There is one thing that is evident. The family was split apart. The supporters were left in a spiral. And somewhere between that frozen moment and the answers that no one is receiving lies the truth. And one question keeps coming up as this story progresses. Why did Kirk freeze it all if there was nothing to conceal? After Kirk froze, the room's stillness didn't end there. It spilled all over the place. It crawled under the skin of those who were observing. That unsettling silence that indicates something significant is being ingested before it can be released. Kirk eventually took a breath, but it sounded harsh, as if he had forgotten how to breathe normally. Sitting a few feet away, Jasmine avoided eye contact with him. Her lips were clenched as though she had already determined that whatever came next would be painful, and her eyes remained fixated on the ground. Off camera, someone nervously laughed in an attempt to break the tension, but it didn't succeed. That vacation was just complicated, Kirk muttered, shifting in his seat and clearing his throat. The word complicated landed incorrectly. Because that wasn't the response of a man with nothing to conceal, fans are surprised. It was the response of someone who was buying seconds, procrastinating, and hoping that if he didn't touch the question completely, it would vanish. When Jasmine finally looked up, the expression on her face caused everything to stop once more. It wasn't rage. It wasn't melancholy. It was a letdown. Quiet and sharp. Friends in the room also sensed it. Later, one of them described it as being like seeing a slow-motion crack propagate through glass. At first, there was no sound, only the awareness that something had already shattered. This time, the host made a more gentle attempt to find out if their relationship had altered as a result of the trip. Kirk chuckled, but it sounded awkward. Too quick, too loud. He shook his head and murmured, "No," then nodded right away, contradicting himself in real time. Yes, but not in the manner that people perceive it. Jasmine clenched her jaw. She folded her arms. Fans quickly embraced this little maneuver. Everyone could see that the truth was circling and refusing to land, and emotions were running high. Fans were already picking sides on the internet. One Kirk appeared cornered, according to others, as if he had been taken aback by a question he believed to be inappropriate. Some claimed that Jasmine's quiet was more powerful than his words. Screenshots of her eyes, his hands, and the space between them were all over the place. Details are not overlooked by the internet, and this time it smelt blood. Things worsened once the cameras stopped. According to someone close to the group, Jasmine got up first and whispered something to Kirk that caused his face to become pale. One person claimed to have heard the words clearly, but no one else did. Before Jasmine left the room, "You made a vow." Kirk lingered, gazing at the vacant chair she had left behind as if he were attempting to go back in time and select alternate responses. Kirk shared an ambiguous comment on respect and privacy online later that evening. The speed at which the comments became harsh has astonished fans. Why freeze if there's nothing to conceal? Friends contacted both of them, but even those closest acknowledged they had no idea what had transpired on that vacation. One comment said, "Say her name out loud." Another insisted, Jasmine, stayed silent, and that silence only made the theories louder. Music from flashbacks started to appear. Fans uncovered old videos in which Kirk enthusiastically discussed travel and how it fosters interpersonal relationships. Then they discovered the time following Jasmine's vacation when his tone shifted, he stopped making jokes, and he stopped paying attention to details. All of it was there, concealed in plain sight. People began making connections, creating timetables, and identifying gaps that could not be dismissed as coincidental. The family was split up behind the scenes. According to reports, Kirk's sister defended him by claiming that people were overinterpreting a stressful situation. Online, Jasmine's cousin retaliated, implying that whether Kirk liked it or not, would reveal the truth. Fans went crazy over just one comment. What is the truth? Concerning what? And why did it sound more like a warning than a pledge? On vacation, friends started acting strangely. Kirk was unfollowed by two. Another shared a vintage picture from the trip that featured Jasmine prominently. In the backdrop, Kirk is hardly noticeable. It seemed deliberate, like a subdued declaration. As fans conjectured about battles that took place behind closed doors, about nights that ended in tears rather than laughing, and about statements that could never be retracted, emotions ran high. With a brief post, Jasmine finally broke her silence. Just one, no names, no details. The truth comes to light occasionally. Not during the storm, but in the after quiet. The speed at which that phrase turned into ammo has fans in disbelief. Kirk, was he the storm? Was it during the vacation that all became clear? It was made worse by Kirk's lack of response. According to insiders, the trip got off to a great start. Jokes, pictures, and smiles. However, something changed in the middle. There was a late-night argument, heated shouts, and someone left. Nobody can agree on the specifics of what transpired. And the conflict itself turned into a dramatic element. Kirk appeared more confined, more accountable, and more terrified of what might be discovered if he spoke too much in each iteration. Kirk attempted to recover control when he was questioned in another interview a few days later. He stated that individuals should cease making up stories while grinning and speaking calmly, but the damage had already been done. When Jasmine's name was spoken once more, fans saw his eyes moving away. Observed the decline in his voice. I noticed that he never truly stated that she was incorrect. Everyone began to feel the pressure. Jasmine stopped going out in public with the gang. Kirk called off events. There were rumors that contracts were being examined, that attorneys had been consulted, and that someone wanted to take charge of the story before it got out of control. The family was split apart. Fans waited eager for the moment, while friends whispered. At last, the truth would emerge. And somewhere in the midst of it all, that frozen moment kept repeating itself. Kirk stopped moving at that moment. The moment Jasmine gave up on hope. The second fans grew to believe that whatever had transpired on that vacation wasn't finished, wasn't resolved, and most surely wasn't going to remain buried for very long. Even when no one was speaking in public, the impact continued to spread. Fans saw Kirk's silence as a type of confession in and of itself. Without explanation, each hour felt more weighted, like pressure gathering behind a wall that everyone knew would eventually give way. Days later, Jasmine was first spotted going out by herself with sunglasses on and an unreadable expression. Immediately, the pictures went viral. Not because she appeared too broken, but rather because she appeared finished. Fans are shocked. According to people familiar with the matter, Kirk made an effort to get in touch in private. Multiple calls, long messages, voice notes left unanswered. According to an insider, Jasmine heard the texts but never responded, letting her quiet do the talking. Just that particular tidbit caused a flurry of emotions on the internet. People started claiming that the vacation was more than just stressful. The trust in was destroyed. Furthermore, no explanation ever seems clear enough once confidence is betrayed. Friends were picking sides behind closed doors. Conversations in the group stopped. Dinners were cancelled. Kirk was allegedly told by a longtime buddy, "You should have just told the truth when you had the chance." Fans were troubled by the line when it was revealed because it implied that there was a specific instance where being honest may have put an end to the mayhem. Now that Kirk had missed it, everything was falling apart. Without saying much, Jasmine's family added gasoline. Without saying much, her mother's family added gasoline. Her mother frequently remarked that the circumstance was both tragic and essential. Kirk was completely unfollowed by her brother. They screamed in this world despite their small digital acts. The family was split not only between Kirk and Jasmine but also among themselves, with some wanting privacy and others believing the truth needed to be revealed. The vacation rumors became more sinister. Supporters conjectured about a covert gathering, an unexpected visitor, or an overheard exchange that altered everything. According to one viewpoint, Jasmine found something that wasn't supposed to be seen by her. Another stated Kirk expressed his true feelings in a statement he made during a fight. There is no evidence, only conjecture. However, the emotional burden of it all seemed genuine. Within minutes, thousands of people tuned in when Kirk finally addressed the issue via a live webcast. His voice was quieter than normal, his eyes were clouded, and his face appeared worn out. He claimed that he was in love with Jasmine, that others were misinterpreting the situation, and that the trip wasn't a significant turning point in. However, admirers saw his hands trembling as he was speaking. I saw that he shied away from details. I observed that each sentence seemed practiced, sanded down with care. Comments came in more quickly than he could read them. Describe what transpired. If you did nothing wrong, why won't you say her name? Describe it. With his emotions running high, Kirk abruptly halted the stream, saying he wasn't feeling well. That moment turned into yet another clip that was constantly analyzed. Fans attempted to push another piece of the puzzle into position. Hours later, Jasmine answered with clarity rather than rage. She wrote that not all stories have to be spoken to be real and that sometimes healing calls for a part. Fans are taken aback by how serene her remarks were in contrast to the fury that surrounded them. Even though the world hadn't caught up yet, many saw it as proof that she had already moved past Kirk on an emotional level. Friends began to divulge more information. Naturally, was played anonymously, and there were rumors of an hours-long dispute. Kirk sobbed, claiming he was misinterpreted. Jasmine repeatedly asks the same question, but each time she receives a different response. According to some, betrayal doesn't always result from a single act of, but rather from realizing that someone will never tell you the same thing twice. Kirk's profile was gradually losing the vacation pictures. Gone, one by one. Fans took notice right away. Screenshots appeared again. Timelines were reconstructed. If memories were innocuous, why erase them? If nothing went wrong, why eliminate smiles? Every action Kirk took appeared to increase rather than lessen suspicion. As sponsors and producers apparently raised concerns, pressure increased. Nobody wanted to be associated with an unresolved scandal. Kirk was advised to keep quiet by his team. Jasmine's social group urged her to maintain her dignity. Even as their distance from one another grew longer, colder, and more permanent, that frozen moment continued to be the focal point of everything. Everything began with a pause. The query regarding a trip that was more than just a vacation. It was the location where fans realized they weren't seeing a misunderstanding but rather the gradual disintegration of something that had already come to an end long before the cameras captured it, where illusions broke, and where quiet grew louder than words. The story had outgrown both of them by the time dawn broke following that live webcast. 3 When Kirk awoke, he had missed calls from 2 pals he hadn't spoken to in months, his manager and his sister. There was absolutely nothing when Jasmine woke up, and it seemed deliberate. The clarity with which the lines were drawn overnight astounds fans.